This conference will now be recorded.
My side. So we are going to start the session in another 2 to 3 minutes. I request all of you to mute the mics so that everyone will listen properly without any disturbance. So we'll start the session within 2 to 3 minutes. I request all the participants to mute your mic so that there won't be any disturbance. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. Right, I'll be communicating with you guys. So if something is there, when I ask some question, you can unmute and you can talk. So still the students are joining. Let us wait for another 2 to 3 minutes, then we'll start. Yeah, good evening to everyone. I'm going to start the session. So let us others also join slowly. Let us start with the session. No need to delay because it's already 5:15. And so officially very good evening to one and all everyone who joined today's session from different branches of Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, Bangalore. So as all of you know, this session is organized by Department of Info Science and Engineering and myself Satyanarayana MS. So I am going to present the session. So the main intention of this particular session is to give a kind of knowledge on Python programming. As all of us know, today Python is one of the leading languages in the IT market. So the 2 day session, first I'll say what we are going to talk, then later we'll start the session. The 2 day session is majorly going to start with introduction to Python. I'm not going to have any kind of theory. It will be a practical session. As I already said, those who are having the laptop, you install the Python, you can practice it. So if not, you listen the entire session. The programs will be shared with you through links, so you can practice the programming. So first today we are going to see all about the basics of Python programming, how to work with the Python, what is Python actually. Then we are going to talk about the different syntaxes which we use in the Python, right? So then we are going to talk about how to import the packages, what is meant by a package, what is the purpose of packages. So we are going to discuss mainly 4 packages like NumPy, Pandas, Pygame, and Matplotlib, SciPy. So these are the few packages which we are going to discuss, and later we are going to talk about a framework called Django framework or Django framework. What is Django or Django framework? Why we are going to use it? So how it will be useful for the students to go ahead with the projects, right? So once again, I request all the students, please mute your mics so that there won't be any disturbance. Any questions, please type in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer all your questions in the middle. I'm going to answer and then I'm going to go ahead. Right. So I'm going to start the session. So as there are some students who already know Python, there are some students who are new to Python. So I'm going to start from the scratch. So this is the website which you are seeing. So hope everyone able to see the screen. If I am not wrong, the screen is visible. If yes, please type in the chat box yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. So this is a Python website where you can download the Python, right? So the first and foremost thing you should understand is what is Python. So Python is an open source programming language which we use to develop an application. So the application might be anything. It might be what do you call it might be web desktop based application, it might be web application, it might be mobile application. Any kind of application can be developed using Python. So the beauty of Python is, so Python is a one language which is something like a communicative language. We call it as a communicative language. Means how I am talking to you, the syntaxes will be same like this. It will be like a normal English kind of syntax. It is not going to have any kind of a typical syntax which we are going to use, right? So at the high level, when you are working with data science, machine learning, etc., there you might feel little bit complexity. Apart from that, no complexity will be there in the Python. So what is Python? Why Python? When it is invented? That is very important. See, Python is a language which is invented in the year 1980s. It is not a new language, very old language compared to your Java. As all of you know, Java is introduced in the year 1991 by Mr. James Gosling. But this is one of the oldest languages which is invented in the year 1980s. But it took almost 20 years to come into the market with all abilities, with all powered tools. Because as most of you know who studied about the compilers, so to develop a new compiler, it will take at least 18 to 20 years. Though Python language has developed in the 1980s, because of the compatibility issues, because of the integration issues, it is not came into the IT industry immediately. It took almost 20 years to come into the industry. So Python got its own popularity. So it has come into the market. Once it has come into the market, it took 3 to 4 years to reach the academic initiatives. Today, you talk about any company, you hit any company, any industry, any product, they will say, yes, we are using Python here or there, right? Including hardware industry, including healthcare industry, including IT industry, any industry. So Python is doing like that, right? So coming back to Python, so this is the Python website. So here you can see the beautiful documentation is available for your Python, which you can go ahead and see anytime, or you can read and understand. There is a Python community. As a students, I suggest you to go ahead and register in the Python community. I suggest you to go ahead and register in the Python community. So which will give you a freedom to talk to the developers throughout the world. Then there are some success stories where Python is doing really good in the different industries. Then there are some news icons. So the important thing as a technical engineer or as an engineer is this point, downloads. So as I said, Python is an open source language. So it is freely available to download and use it. So today Python is running 3.8.2. Actually 3.9 came into the picture, market. Still it is not available for the download. But I suggest you to go with 3.6, which is a stable version. It is not a stable version 3.8.2. So better you go with the 3.6 stable version. So what is meant by stable version? When I say stable version, what is meant by stable version? So stable version is the software. I mean, stable version of the software is nothing but which is having all the features, all the plugins which are ready to use. All the features, all the plugins which are ready to use. That is called stable version. Still, the 3.8.2 has some new features yet to release. So that's why I'm suggesting you to go with 3.6. You can see here in the download page. So there are different versions. The first and foremost version which came into the market is 2.7. 2.7 is the one which came into the market. So later it has modified to 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8. Now we are going with the 3.9. So my suggestion is better you go with 3.6.2, right? So there is one question: what is plugin? See, plugin is nothing but we'll develop a software. After that, we'll feel that some other features should be added. See, I cannot rewrite entire coding for a programming language. What I can do for that feature, I can create a plugin and I can add it into this language. Then you can start using it, that feature. For example, let me put in very simple words so that you can understand. You will be downloading so many applications in your Android mobile. Whenever there is an update, you will be getting, you need to update this application. So when you go for the Play Store and see update, so there will be mentioning it is going to have this security, it is going to consume less space. So that are called plugins. The additional features which we are going to incorporate to a software is called plugins, right? So 3.8 still waiting for the plugins. Hope I answered your question. So now I suggest you to go with 3.6 version, stable version of Python, right? This is about the Python. This is about basic introduction of Python. As I said, as I mentioned in the brochure, it is a hands-on session. I'm not having any PPTs, no theory. Only theory will be there for 10 to 15 minutes, which I am going to talk. And this theory will be very useful for you when you want to practice the programs. So you can download any version of the Python here. But as I suggested, you can go with 3.6.10, which is a stable version, which you can download and start working with, right? So then, the other tool which I want to introduce all of you is, or most of you already using, is JetBrains. So I don't know how many of you seen this website, but people who are using, they might have already faced or they might have already tasted the applications from this website. So JetBrains is an organization which is providing so many IDEs, so many softwares as per the requirement of the today's IT market. So I'm going to talk about IntelliJ IDE or IntelliJ based IDEs because we are going to talk about Python, right? So JetBrains has one IDE called PyCharm. You can see here. So this is the IDE of Python, which I suggest you to download and start using it. See, there are so many IDEs for Python, like Jupyter. I have Anaconda. I have PyCharm. I have so many, etc., etc. See, Anaconda, yes, one of the best IDE for Python, but the only problem is you require minimum 8 GB of RAM to see the features or to see the performance of Anaconda. Anaconda performance can be seen only with the 8 GB of minimum RAM. So that's why I'm suggesting you to go with PyCharm, which can work with 2 GB RAM also. So no need to have 8 GB RAM. So I suggest you to download this PyCharm. I already downloaded. That's why I'm not showing the download, how to do it, all those things. So it's a normal IDE. You download it, next, and complete the installation. And JetBrains, it's not only having PyCharm, it is also having so many IDEs. You can see here PHP Storm, which is for the PHP, .NET IDE, which is Rider. We also have the database tool or many database in single platform, DataGrip. We also have Ruby tool called RubyMine. We also have Golang, which is for the Go language, which is recent language. And also we have PyCharm Edu. So it is for the educational institutions. So what is IDE? Very good. So IDE is nothing but integrated development environment. Integrated development environment. What is integrated development environment? I'll tell you. So basically, IDEs are used to make coding people or to make engineers their life easy. See, in C programming, probably you might have used the code blocks in your C programming. So code blocks is one IDE. What is the feature of code blocks? You no need to go ahead and execute some commands and see the output. Directly you can run the program and see the output. So IDE is a software, or it's an environment where the coding is made very easy. You no need to install any plugins or any application programming interfaces or any external features. It will come along with the IDE itself. So IDE makes a programmer's life very easy. I answered your question theoretically, but practically I'm going to show you later. Right? Just bear with me for 10 to 15 minutes. You will understand exactly what is IDE. So this is one of the best IDE which I suggest. So as I said, so you can download Python from this particular website, which is already downloaded in my laptop. So now I'm going to show you how we are going to work. So there is one question, Shower, is IDE platform independent? Yes, IDEs are platform dependent. They are not independent. If you are using Linux, you need to download Linux based. If you are using Mac based. You can see here different OS, different IDEs we need to download. Not this one, sorry, this one. So it is not going to be platform independent. They are platform dependent again. So what is platform independent and independent? Whether one tool will work on all the platforms? No. So we need to have separate IDEs which we need to download based on your operating system. So in my system, Python is installed. Those who are using first time Python, once you install Python, go to your search bar, just type Python. See, when you install Python, Python will come with one IDE, which is called IDLE. IDLE is nothing but Integrated Development Learning Environment. Integrated Development Learning Environment. So Harish, there is question, is there any IDE in which we can run all programming languages? See, as of now, all programming languages, no. There are some IDEs which will run some programming languages with a limitations. With a limitations, yes, you can run. There are some tools or some IDEs which we can use. So now I installed Python. I'm just going to my IDLE, which is Integrated Learning Environment of Python. So Python, when you install, along with this, you will get one IDE, which is a free version. No need to, pay anything for that. So this is a Python IDLE environment, or it is also called as Python shell. So you can see here, my version of Python is 3.6.0. As I said, I always go with the stable version. It is Python 3.6.0. Now I'll show you the beauty of Python. So before that, I have one question. Let me take it and then we'll go for it. Sir, this 32-bit version is okay for 64-bit OS? Yes. See, for a 64-bit OS, you can install 32-bit, but for 32, you cannot install 64, right? So for 32, you cannot install 64. For 64, you can install 32. I'll tell you why I installed 32 later. Fine. So what is the beauty of Python? See, the beauty of Python lies here. One point I forgot to inform all of you. So what is Python basically? If you want to say one a very funny answer about the Python, So Python is a modified version of C programming, or it's a enhanced version of C programming. I'll put you in a very simple or very understandable terminology. See, we have C programming. For a C programming, if you do makeup, if you do all the makeup, lipstick, eyelash, nail polish, that, this and all, then it becomes Python. Then it becomes a Python. So usually for my students, I'll tell one example. What is the example? You might have seen the advertisement of what is that? The Fair and Lovely. So along with Fair and Lovely, you will get a what you call scale, where you can check your glow, first day, second day, third day, fourth day, seventh day. So like that. So after C invention, they took all the help of C, C++, Java, and they made so much of modifications, so much of beauty to all these languages, and they brought the Python. So Python is a makeup version of C programming. That is what Python is all about, right? So now, so what is the beauty of Python? That's what I'm talking here. Say, for example, I want to define a variable in C programming. How I'm going to define? I need to define int a equals to 2. I need to specify the data type. I need to specify the variable name. Then I need to assign the value. So this is how I'm doing. But whereas in Python, when you are using a variable, no need to specify the data types. because the compiler is designed such a way that, so the compiler is designed such a way that you no need to define the data types directly. It will understand based on the input what you are giving. For example, so I'm just giving a equals to 2, right? Now I'm just going to print a value. I didn't inform clearly whether it is an integer, whether it is a float point number. I'm not informed. So sorry. I'm just going to print the a value, so you can see that. You can see that, right? So a is giving the output what I entered for the a. I request all of you to mute your mics, please. I request you to mute the mic so that it won't be disturbing. Okay. I'm going to take much time. I request someone who is switched on the mic, please no, mute the mic, please. Yeah. Please unmute. Yes. So someone is using mic. Please switch on the mic or mute yourself. There are two questions. I'll take it. Then I'll continue with this. One thing is, sir, shall we use PyCharm instead of IDLES? We can use PyCharm. I'm going to take there also. Just for your reference, I'm showing this. Is Python shell default editor page? Yes. Python shell is a default editor page. What we have for the Python, right? So someone is asking, sir, please once show the installation. Surely I'll store the installation. Give me some time. We'll go with today's session. Tomorrow I'll uninstall it. When I come back, I'll show you the installation. Fine. So this is a beauty of Python which I'm talking about. No need to specify the variable data type. I request Charana Ravindra Bhatt, please mute your mic. There is a disturbance for all. So then what I'm going to do, you just see it. So I'm assigned already a value. Now I'm assigning b value, b equals to 4. Now I'm finding a plus b value. You can see this, right? So any operation which you want to perform, yes, you can perform with the Python, right? Suppose I want to find out a star star b. Sorry. So a star star b. So what is a star star b? So a value is 2 and b value is 4. So 2 power 4. Right? So like this, any operations which you can perform, like small snippets of coding, you can run directly here in the Python shell. So no need to have separate IDEs. And also, if you have any small programs which you want to run, you can go to File, open the new file. So here you can type the small programs. So usually, the first program in any language which we are going to do is hello world. So I'm just going to print hello world. This is just to introduce you people to Python. So I'll just save it. First we need to save it. Then we need to run it. I'll just run it. Then it will also save. Okay. So when you run, so when you save and run this program, so you need to save the file with the extension .py. Python extension is .py. So it's already there because morning session we did it. So I'll make svce.py. That is better. Yeah. So it's saved and executed. Now you can see the output. Now you can see the output hello world. So that means the Python ideally will give you the features where you can write the code snippets for your better understanding, for your practice. You can also write small programs which is not having database connection, which is not having importing any packages. So that kind of programs you can write it directly in the IDLE. So no need to have separate IDEs, right? So this is how the Python has been designed. This is an introduction to Python. So any questions, quick 1 minute you can ask. Then I'll go for the next. Any questions, please ask quickly. All right. So now I'm going to introduce one more tool for you. It is not related to Python, but whenever you want to do the presentations, whenever you are done, you want to do the presentations, I suggest you, because you are all professional engineers, please don't use the PPT, Microsoft PPT. Instead of that, we have a tool called Microsoft Sway. You can see here. So sway.office.com. It is an online tool where you can really do, create beautiful presentations. Where you can really create a beautiful presentations. It is an online tool which will be running in online. Suppose if you are going for the presentation, what you can do is you can run all the slides once. Then offline also it will show the content, right? So you can use this way as one of the tool for your presentations. As a professional engineers, it will be so professional. You can see in the coming minutes. So I have one question, sir. How to execute the code which we written? Can you repeat again? Okay. So what I did is I'll just close it. Then I'll come back here only. This is ideally. I just went to file, then new file. So in the new file, I need to write the code. So print hello world. So any code you can write. Then what I did, so no need to this one also. So what I did is file, I need to save it. If not also while execution it will save. So save, give some name, svce1.py, give some name and then save it. So to run it, go to run. So run module F5. If you press F5, it will execute. It will come out of it. It will execute. The program which you have written will be available like this in a new window, right? So this is how we are going to see. I'm going to execute much more programs. You can understand there also. First, we'll start with the basics of Python programming. So this is the first program. Write a Python program to print the following string in the given format. So I want to print this in a given format. So just with one print statement, I can do it either in this language or any other language. Now I'm going to show you how it will be done in the Python. So this is a program, or this is a logic for this. So I'm going to share these slides, the links with you. Don't worry about it. First, try to understand the concepts, then you can execute from your side. So I just copied here. I saved it with the same svc1. Now I'm going to execute it using run command, run module. So we are getting the error. What is the error? So the Python is very, as I said, one of the language which is like a normal English. So the EOL while scanning string literal, because we cannot read the English like this. No, something missing here. It is not ended. So that's why I'm just going to end it, because entire print statement should be in a single line. So now it is in the single line. I'm going to execute it, then run the module. Then you can see the output. So that means the outcome of this program which you need to understand is, there are two key points which you need to understand. The first key point is the print statement should be in a single line. The print statement should be in a single line. So when you want to give tab space, you need to use /t. You need to use /t. When you want to go to the new line, then you need to give /n. When you want to give double tab space, then use /t, right? If you see the output, so this is one tab space, this is double tab space, right? So like this, based on your requirement, you need to give /n and /t to print the required output in a given format. And the outcome of this program which you need to understand is, print is the statement like in C programming which we use to print the data. So this is a basic, very basic program in Python. Next. So write a Python program which accepts the radius of a circle and computes the area. Right? See, my course is designed like this. Each and every program, there will be something which you need to take away, which you need to understand, which you need to note. So what you need to note, I am going to tell you. Those who will feel that I cannot recollect later, make a pen and paper and write it down, or type in your laptop or mobile phone, wherever it is possible, right? So every program which I'm going to show you today will be having some takeaway which you need to understand, which will be really helpful when you do the projects. So the second program is write a Python program which accepts the radius of a circle from the user and computes the area. Now, see, I'm not concentrating much on the logic, because logic you already know. Logic you already know. I am not concentrating much on the what do you call logic. I'm concentrating so much on the Python syntax. The syntax of the Python is very important, right? So now, so this is the program, Python program to find out the area. So as usual, as I said, first we are defining a variable called pi. The value is 3.14. The pi value is 3.14, which you already know, right? Now, how to read the input from the user? If it is a C programming, what we will do, I'll just copy this program, then I'll explain you can easily understand. I'm just copying it. Okay, so meanwhile, let you just give me a minute. I'll open my PyCharm. It will take 2 to 3 minutes to open. So we'll be explaining next program we'll do in the PyCharm. So I'm just deleting the first program. I'm typing this. Suppose if I want to read input from the user in C programming, how you will do? So printf, enter the radius of a circle, close it, scanf, right? So percentage f, comma, ampersand, radius. So before doing this, what we need to do? We need to define float radius. So this 3 lines of code is required to get the input from the user in C programming or in any C++, Java programming, right? Whereas here in Python, these 3 lines are combined into a single line. So the function which we use to read the data from the user is called input function. So this is the line which we use usually. Input, enter the radius of a circle. Now I need to say what type of input we are reading. We are reading float. That's why I mentioned float here. That's why I mentioned float here. Then I assign to a variable called r. Then I assign to a variable called r, right? So that means I'm reading the input from the user. I'm assigning that value to, I'm converting or assigning that value into the float. Then I'm assigning it to a variable. Once it is done, I'm calculating the area. All of you know the formula. Area equals to pi r square. That is a mathematical formula which you know. Now, how to print the output? So in C programming also, we are going to use print statement only to print the output. So print the area of the circle is the data type and how much space you required after equals to, followed by percentage area, followed by percentage area. So this is the syntax which we use for the in Python, printing in Python. So there is something which I want to mention. I'll show you now. First I'll execute this. All of you please understand. So run. It is asking for the radius. I'm just giving radius as 1.1. I'm giving some float point number 1.1. Enter. So the area of circle is 3.80. Now I'm going to my program back. What I'm doing here is I'm taking the percentage, which is rounding off it into 3.80. Instead of percentage, I'm going to use comma. And I'm removing this. It is not really essential here. Right? So now saving it back, then running. See, either you can use percentage or comma. What is the difference? We are going to see. So 1.1, again same value I'm entering. Now you can observe the difference. When I use percentage, the value will be rounded off to nearest digit. the value will be rounded off to nearest digit, that is 3.80. But when I am not telling that, I am using comma, it is giving the exact value, which is 3.799400008. See, when you become a software engineer or when you are using your project, there are scenarios where you require sometimes this value, sometimes this value. So when you are using print statement in Python, either you can use percentage for the output variable or comma. So when you use comma, there won't be rounded off values, it will give exact values. Whereas when you use the percentage, it will round it off to nearest value. So that is how it will be done. Now, so there is one question, we'll take it and we'll go further. Sir, Jitra is asking, why using float, sir, when compiler assumes it according to input? Very good question. See, the compiler will understand according to the data. But why I am using float here is, I want specifically float values. I want specifically float values. I'm doing kind of type conversion activity or type what do you call that, type casting activity. So when you want specifically, then you mention it. Otherwise, no need to mention. Now what I will do is, for his question, I'm just removing this. I'm just removing this, saving it, right? I'm just running back. I removed it now. So I'm just running, I'm just giving 1.1. So what happened now? What is the error we are getting? So we are getting the error. Why? Because when it calculates this value, for sure we are going to get it in the for sure we are going to get it in the float point number. So that's where we are striking the, or we are getting the problem. That's why in specific examples or in specific programs where there is a requirement, we'll use it. Otherwise, no need to use it. So one more question, sir, can you use int and show it? I'll show you. There are some more programs where you can see. So this is how the print, see, take away from this program is how to use input statement and how to use print statement. How to use input statement and how to use print statement. Hope everyone understood. If everyone understood, please type yes in the chat box. We'll go further. If everyone understood, please type yes in the chat box. We'll go further. Yeah. Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Now, so what is the next program? So write a Python program to find the simple interest. So this is another program which you already know syntaxes. See, I have taken the simple programs because which you already know the simple syntaxes. And one more thing, like we have students from different streams, electronics, mechanical and all. So that's why I'm not taken complicated programs here. I want to make them understand the syntax. So there is only one question, sir. Can you please show it with spacing required? Can you please show it with spacing required? We'll see some more programs. Percentage 2f. I understood. 0.2f you are asking. We'll show it that. We have some more programs there. You will understand this. Fine. So this is our output. We want to get it. Simple interest. So I'm just going to the program. You can see here. I want to read the principal. So float input, enter the principal. As someone asks how to use int, time, int, input, enter the time in the years. Because we are going to take the integer value for the years. Rate, float, input, enter the rate. And the simple interest is principal into time into r by rpt r by 100. Then print the simple interest. So the takeaway from this program is how to use print statement with float and int, and also how to print the statement with the comma. This already I shown there. So same thing we are using here. Instead of percentage, I'm using the comma, right? So this is how the program is done. I'm not going to execute this program. Just have a look at it. It is same like previous program. Only little modification. We are using the integer variable and comma, which I already shown. Then, so now we are going to see one more example, which is essential for us. Write a Python program to display your details like name, age, address in 3 different lines, right? So we want output like this: name, age, and address. Name, age, and address. So now, how is the program is going to be? So here, the program can be written in 2 ways. So just to introduce you people how to use functions, I have defined a function. See, one point I'm going to stress now. I want all of you to listen and make a note of it somewhere. In C programming, if you recollect your first year, so we said the if conditions, while loops or functions should not end with a semicolon. Again, I'm repeating very important point which you should remember, otherwise you will get the syntax error. In C programming, we said the condition statements, control statements or loops, right, or functions should not end with the semicolon. It is quite opposite here in Python. The condition statements, the loops, the functions should end with the colon. You can see here, it should end with the colon. This is the function which I am defining. So def is the keyword which we use to define the function. Def personal details. So function will be ended with open parenthesis and closed parenthesis followed by the colon. Right? So when you are using the functions or when you are using the condition statements, when you are using the control statements, make sure that you are ending with the colon. So that is that this point you should remember very carefully. And if you see the programs, nowhere I am ending the statements with semicolon. Take the previous program so that you can understand. Nowhere I am ending with the semicolon. But the condition statements, control statements, and the looping statement should end with the colon. And one more takeaway from this program, you should remember, very important. So most of the times you will face a error called indentation error. Indentation error. What is indentation? Python is not like a normal program. When you are writing a Python program, you should not start every line at the left side. You should not start every line at the left side. If you start every line at the left side, you will get the indentation or indentation error. Then how to start it? Suppose if you are defining a function like this, the statements which will come under this function should go with one tab space. Should go with one tab space, right? So if you are defining this function, so the next lines which we are using here should go with one tab space, right? So otherwise you are going to get the error. Now I'm going to show you how it works, then I'll explain you this program. I'm just copying it. So I'm just copying it and putting it to the IDE. So you can see the program here. It is not written everything at the left. So the function is defined here. So there is one tab space which we are using to write the question, statements which will come under this function. And as I said in the first program, so the entire print statement should be in a single line. Now you can see these three statements will come under this. So that's why I have given one tab space and then written the program. And at the end, when I want to call the function, so again it should go at the left side. It should go at the left side. Suppose what I will do is I'll just move this line to left and then I'll run the program. Now we'll see what will happen. So you can see the error, expected an indented block. It is showing an error, expected an indented block. So that means, so when you are writing the statements with respect to one for loop, for if condition or for function, it should follow one tab space. Otherwise you will get the indentation error. Now I'm going to run it. So it's going to take the output. Now you can see the output has come, right? So indentation is one of the important points which you should remember, along with putting the colon for the loops, condition statements and functions. Now one more takeaway from this program is the print statement. See, I have read the data, name, age and address. There is no guarantee that I need to print like name, age, address. You can print name, address, age. You can print address, name, age, etc., etc. For that you need to give a format. Now what I'm doing, I'm printing it, name as one keyword which I want to give as a heading, colon followed by my data /n, next line, age colon my data /n, address colon my data and dot format. What is the format I want? First I want name, I want age, then address. Suppose if you change it, you can change it. First you can give address, name, age, address, name. So the format is going to be with you, right? So what is the use of format? So the format will tell the compiler in which order I need to print or in which format I need to print. So that is the use of format. See, you may ask, sir, where we use real time this one. See, you will be using Flipkart or Amazon, right? So in there, you can see the product description. You can see the product description. There we are going to use these kind of formats: product name, product title, manufacturer, vendor, what is the price, etc., etc. For some products, it will be reversed. For some products, it will be in another fashion. So like this, you can use the dot format function to specify the format how you want to print it. So I'll just repeat quickly. There are 3 takeaways from this program. The first and foremost takeaway is the loops, condition statements, functions in Python should end with the colon symbol. The second takeaway is indentation. Whichever statements you are writing under condition statements, loops, or functions should follow one tab space. Once you are done with these statements, the next statement should start from the first. The next statement should start from the first. Otherwise, you will get the indentation error. Then third takeaway, when you want to specify a particular format, then you can use format function. So print, what is the data you want to print? Dot format of these variables. So this is how we are going to do the activity, or this is how we are going to print the data according to our requirement. So any question in this, please ask. There is one question: what is the use of format? So as I said, the format is used to specify in which format you want to see the output. Any other questions you can ask. Meanwhile, I will going just with the next program. Yeah, fine. So write a Python program to swap the 2 numbers using third variable. Another simple program, but my intention, as I said, my intention is not logic. My intention is syntax, right? So this is a program. From this program, what you are going to understand. So till now, you can see here, when you want to define, when you want to read the multiple variables, I'm taking separately. Though both are float numbers, I'm taking separately. But now we are going to see a function called split and map. So what is split and map? See, when you want to read the variables which are of same type, when you want to read the variables which are of same type or same data type, then you can use map and split. What is map and split? So if I want to read 100 variables, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and so on and so forth, 100 variables, which are all of integer or float or long int or double variable data type, right? What I can do is I can use map split function. What is map split will do? So initially, the map function will come with the parameters map of data type, comma, input function followed by split. How it will work, I will tell you. The input function is used to read the data from the user. The input function will be used to read the data from the user. Once it is read, it will be splitted. It will be splitted into number of different inputs, and it will be mapped to these variables. It will be mapped to these variables. That is called map and split. So map and split is a function when you want to read the variables of similar data type, then we are going to use it map and split. So this is the syntax of map and split. You can read integers, you can read float, long int, double int, any data type you can read it. Instead of writing A, B separately, we are going to write A, comma B. So where it will be useful? So when you want to read the data of the students, or when you want to read the data of the employees in a continuous fashion, then we can use these kind of activities. Or when you want to read the data from the user, multiple data, then also you can use it. Now the logic is very simple. Using third variable, temp equals to A equals to B equals to temp, and printing is as usual. Printing, there is no change. The takeaway from this program is how to use map and split function. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this program. My PyCharm is open. Now I'll show you how to open the PyCharm. See, once you open the PyCharm, initially you won't get this screen. You will get one more screen where it will ask for the create new project. So go to file, new project. Then you take the pure Python, because now we are going to use only pure Python. I'm not going to use any additional things. Then you can give the project name here. So I'll give SVCE as a project name, then create. Then create. So open in current window or new window, it's up to you how you want to open. So I opened in the new window. Now my project created. go to your project, give right click on that, then go to new. So go for Python file, because I'm doing Python here. I'm using Python file. Then you say, so SVCE1, SVCE1. So I'm just creating it. Now my project is created. Under my project, one file is created. So now I'm copying that program. Yeah. So there is question. Can you please repeat the use of map, sir? Yes, I'm going to show you now, Digitra. So what is map here? So the map function will be used to understand or to read the inputs of similar data types together. So if you want to read multiple variables of similar data types, then we'll use map. See, the syntax of map is map of data type, comma, followed by input function, right, dot split function. So this is how the map will work. So in data type, you can give any data type. So then you can use input. So how it will work, I'll repeat once again. The input is used to read the input value. Split is used to split the values once you read from the input. Then map is used to map it to the variables. Map it to the variables. So this is how the map and split function will be used. Hope I answered your question. Those who asked for the map and split. Now how to run in the PyCharm? Either you can run from this side. You can take the program name, click right click and run SVCE1. This is one option we have. So when I run it, so it is asking for the AB. I have not given print statement, otherwise it will ask. So now you can see the change. Better if you want to understand easily, what you can do is you put one print statement here. Print enter values of A and B. Okay, now I'll just execute. The other way of executing this program is you can also execute here, then run. Either you can enter there or execute there or here. So 2 and 3. So I'm swapping it. Right. So this is how the program will execute map and split. So there is one question. Yes, Sharma. Sir, no need of main function. No, there is no main function at all. No need to worry with the main function when you are doing the basic level programming with the Python. When you go for high level programming also, no need to worry. No main function required. Right? The execution starts from the syntax where you started. In the previous program, I started somewhere. This program, I started somewhere. So it will start from there itself. Right? So hope everyone understood map and split. If everyone understood, just give me a yes, then I'll go further. Or any question you can ask, please. Right. Thank you so much, guys, for quick response. So till now, any question? Till now, any question? Please ask for a minute. Then we'll go further. Just give me a minute. I'll be just muting it. Any question you can ask, I'll answer. Formality, I just taken the screenshot of your session. Yeah, there is one question. Sir, can we get full video recording of today's session? Yes, I'll give you. Don't worry about it. I'll give full session video. I'll also share these links which you can practice later. I know it's not so easy to practice. I mean, follow at a time. You will get the video. You will also get the what you call slides both. So I'm just going further. Thanks for your support, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is another map and split. Please go through it. Any question you can ask. This is another simple program how to use map and split. So references to study. I'll give you references to study. Don't worry. I'll share all the materials. So how to prepare SWAY? Yes, tomorrow I'll show you how to prepare SWAY also. So this is another example where we are using map and split. So as I said, when you have similar data type elements, so we are going to use map and split. So the map is a function where we are going to specify what data type you want to use. Split, along with split, we are going to use input. So input is to read the input from the user. Split will split that inputs, and with the help of map, it will map it to the variables. It will map it to the variables. For example, in this example, we have x and y value. User will enter, let us assume 5 and 6. So input will read that 5 and 6, and it will say to the split, hey, 5 and 6 has been read by the user, read from the user. Then split will say 5 is one variable, 6 is one variable, which I have read from the user to the map. Then map will understand that there are two variables, and it will verify how many variables are there at the left side. Only two are there. It will give 5 to the x, 6 to the y. If there are 5 variables which we have read, if we have read 5 variables but only 2 are at the left side, it will take first 2 only, remaining 3 will be omitted. It is not going to consider. When we have two different data types, you cannot use map and split. Please make very clear of this point. When you have two different state variables, I mean two different data type variables, don't use map and split. It won't work. When you have similar data type only, you can use split and map. Sir, can we use map for converting a string to other format? That I'll show you, Rachana. In next program, you will see that. Right? Not map, but we will do that. So fine. So we'll go next. So this is the basics of Python programming. Now we are going to go with the control structures and looping. Control structures and looping. As all of you know, the control structures is nothing but if condition, if else condition, else if conditions, which you use in your C programming, C++ and Java. So Python also supports same kind of stuff. If else if ladder, if else if ladder. So any kind of ladder, it is supported by the Python. There is no limitation. So now we will see first program. Write a Python program to check the person is eligible to vote. So age we need to enter. We need to check whether he is eligible to vote. So the program is this. So age I am reading. I am specifying age, specifically it should be integer. So int input of enter the age. Int input of enter the age. Now I need to write the age condition, I mean if condition. As all of us know, if age is greater than 18, then only we are eligible to vote. So if age is greater than 18, so if condition goes as usual in your C programming. If age is greater than 18, as I said, so every control statement should end with colon. We ended with the colon. And one more thing you remembered is indentation. I have given one tab space, then I have written the statement with respect to this if. Right? And one more thing, one more takeaway from this program is C programming and all. When you write if condition, you should accommodate with the parentheses. Whereas in Java, I mean Python, no need to have parentheses. I request someone to mute your mic and speak, please. Fine. So if condition, when you are writing, no need to have the parenthesis. So directly you can write like this. That's why I told you in the initial stage, it is something like a normal English. So 3 takeaways from this program. The conditions should end with a colon. Indentation, there should be tab space. What are the statements which are coming under if condition? Third one is no need to put any parenthesis or flower braces for the if condition. No need to put, directly you can write like this, right? So this is how if will be done. I'm not going to execute this program. I'll execute second program. So write a program to calculate the sum of 3 given values and find out the thrice of their sum if they are equal. If they are equal, we need to find out the thrice. So output will be something like this. We need to enter the values 5, 5, 5, 3 values. If they are equal, we need to find out the thrice of their sum. Now what I am going to do, you can see here. So print, enter the three values. Again, we are using map and split because all three are of same data type, integer. Again, I am repeating this statement, very important. If A is one data type, B is another data type, C is another data type, you cannot use the map. You cannot use the map. So map can be used only with the similar data type elements. Then I'm calling a variable called sum. I'm adding as A plus B plus C. A plus B plus C. Then if A equals to B equals to C, then I'm going to find out the thrice of their sum. Thrice of their sum, that is sum into 3. Then I'm going to print the sum value. So from this program, the takeaway is how to use equals to operator. It is also same like your C programming, how to use if condition, indentation. This statement belongs to if condition. That's why I have given one tab space. This statement not belongs to if condition. It is a main program condition. That's why I have written at the left side. I'll just copy this program. I'll go to my PyCharm. I'll delete this program. I'll paste it. Now you can see here. So if this is a main program which I have written statement. If condition started, the statements which belongs to if condition has given with one tab space. Then the final statement, which is a global statement or an entire program, it will be at the left side. See, if you see the big programs in Python, maybe 1000 lines, 1200, when you go to the real time, so the program will be like a jigsaw fashion. It will be something like how the snake will go, right? I also suggest all of you, whether you are using C programming, Java, C++, any language, try to write the programs like that. Already I told a few of my students, it is a best practice what you can do. It is a best practice what you can do. Write the program in jigsaw fashion so that you can easily understand where the error is coming or what is this function, etc. etc. Now I'm going to execute this. So as I said, you can execute either from here or from the left side. So I'll execute it. So enter the three values. I'm entering 3, 6, 8. So the sum value is 17. The sum value is 17, right? But it has not written the thrice of their sum because 3, 6, 8 are different values. So once again, I'll execute it. I'll give 5, 5, 5, 5. Now you can see thrice of their value. That means, so it is not executed in the first example, these 2 lines. In the second example, it is executed. Now, why I have shown 2 examples is, if condition satisfies, then only it will go here and it will execute the statement. If it fails, directly it will go to this location. So this is how if condition will be written in the Python. This is how if condition will be written in the Python. Then, now we are going to write a program to check whether the given number is even or odd. So enter a number, whether it is even or odd, we are going to see. So this program logic is not important, as I said, the syntax. So first I am reading the number, enter a number, finding the modulo value. As all of you know, as a mathematics students, if modulo value of some number with 2 equals to 0, then it is a even number. If it is not 0, then it is a odd number. My voice is not audible. Is it audible now? Someone put voice is not audible.
It's audible,
Anyone
sir.
can respond.
It's audible, sir. No
Okay,
issues.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to read the input value. We are finding the modulo value, and we are checking if the modulo is greater than 0, then it is an odd number, else it is a even number. What is the takeaway from this program is 2 things. What are the 2 things? So first thing is how to write the else statement. So else statement will come like as it is like your else in C programming, and it should also end with the colon. I'm repeating this statement multiple number of times because this is the error most of the times we will do. The condition statements, we are not going to put the colon, then you will get the error. So the condition control statements loops should end with the colon. And second takeaway from this program is, so when you are doing some condition statement like this, there also no need to print any kind of parenthesis. So no parenthesis. So no kind of any, no, what you call syntax, flower braces, less than symbol, greater than, nothing. It is something like a general English what we are going to take it. Hope everyone understood else. I'm not going to execute this program. I'll go for the next program along with the else if we will see. All right. So this is the median of three values. Guys, please, because of the time constraint, I'm not going to explain mathematical terminology because already you are mathematics students. You know mathematics much better than me. I'm a old age fellow. I don't know much about mathematics. So I'm just going with the logics. Please try to understand them and any question you can ask. Now I want to find out the median of three values. Median of three values. So this is a program. First I am reading the value of A, reading the value of B, reading the value of C. Now I think everyone is familiar with input statement, how to read the values, because we are seeing so many programs. You will also practice it. Now this is very important. I'm writing multiple if statements. The first takeaway from this program, say this program is having 5 to 6 takeaways. I want all of you to concentrate a little more. The first takeaway is how to write multiple if conditions. How to write multiple if conditions. First I am writing if A greater than B. If you want to write one more if in this, you are not supposed to stop at the left side. Again you need to give one tab space and then start. Again you need to type one tab space then start. Now the statement which belongs to this if condition, again it should go with one tab space. And how to write else if? ELIF. This is else if statement in Python. Whereas in our C programming we will be using else if, ELSEIF. Whereas here you can directly use ELIF. ELIF. So ELIF, what is the condition? So I'll do one thing. I'll just copy this program because scrolling is a problem here. It's a little big program. I'll show you there. Yeah. Question also copied. I'll just delete it. Yes. So now you can see here, if A greater than B, under this I have written if A less than C. So and then I have written some statement for this median equals to A, and else if condition. This else if condition came with one more statement median equals to B. Then comes with one more else for this if, that is median equals to C. So whatever statement belongs to this if condition will be at the same line. Will be at the same line. And for this if condition, I need to write one else. That else should start from here. This is called indentation. The only problem, the most of the times, the error which you are going to get is indentation error. When you are not giving proper tab space, then you will get the error, right? So now this else belongs to this if condition. This else belongs to this if condition. Under this else, again I called one more if condition. For this if, I have taken ELIF, I have taken else, then I have written the statement. After completion of this if else, I am taking the final print statement which will be at the left side. So the main takeaway from this program is when you want to write multiple if conditions, you need to give one tab space, and the else if else conditions which belongs to this statement should start from here only, and the main else should start from here. So according to this, we need to write the program. Now you can see the program. It will be something like your snake, how it will move, right? It is not going to be the single line. So this is how the Python program should be written. You just see this program is having only 35 lines. There itself you can see so much of jig job. Just assume a program of 1000 lines, how it is going to be, right? So this is how it will be done. I'm just going to execute this program. See the output. So I'm just giving input first number 25, second number 30, next number is 35. The median is 30. Please don't ask me how you calculated median because it's a pure mathematical stuff. Probably, as I said, you people are far better than me how to calculate this median, right? So this is how multiple if statements, else if will be used in Python. So any question in if, else if, please ask. Any question in if, else statement you can ask. Or if everyone understood if else if, please type yes, we'll go further.
Sir,
Yes, Vivek.
sir, more than one else statement can be there in the program, no, sir.
Yes,
Else
yes. You can
ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ
have
ಇರ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ.
else statement when it go more than one. ಯಾವಾಗ okay, when more than one else comes, then we'll use else if. It is always best practice to use else if when you have more than one else statements.
Yes.
And question, sir, is there a switch statement? Yes, switch statement. See that. Yes, please.
Can you repeat it once, sir?
Else if statement.
Can you repeat it once, sir?
Yeah, I'll repeat this else if. See, what is this else if is? See, when you have multiple conditions which you need to verify, when you have multiple conditions, when you need to verify, then we'll use else if. When there is only one if condition, one else, directly you can write it. So what is else if basically? If I want to check multiple conditions, then we'll use else if. How to use else if in Python? We need to use ELIF keyword. ELIF statement or keyword which we use. So don't worry about this big program. We'll see only this portion. You can easily understand. Any else if statement should end with one else. That is going to be the final statement. So first I am checking if A greater than C, then median equals to A. Again I want to check B less than C. For that I have multiple conditions. Then I am using ELIF. Then I am using ELIF. Then median equals to B. So if these two conditions fails, then we should have one more else. So that's why I'm using else. The median will be C, right? So basically, when you have multiple conditions, then you need to go with else if statement or ELIF statement. When you are using else if statement, the final statement should be else statement. Suppose if nothing is there to print in else, you can just print so output is not found or the data is not found. Something you should use it, right? So like this else if statement will be used. Hope I answered your question or I repeated. You understood?
Sir, more than else if ಮೂರು ನಾಲ್ಕು ಇರ್ಬೋದಾ ಸರ್?
Yes, 3, 4, 10, 20, any number of else if you can have.
ಆದ್ರೆ
Any
ಎಲ್ಸ್
number.
ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು.
ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಬೇಕು. ದ ಫೈನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದು ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಬೇಕು.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
Okay, fine. So Harish is asking, is there any switch statements and ternary operators? Yes, Harish, we do have something like this. We'll see one by one. I'm just going slowly because everyone should understand. I'll explain you. I'm not going to leave any topic. I'm just going to explain. So now we'll go for the next program. So this is again if else if program. So I'm not going to spend much time on this. You can practice it, then you can come back if you have any question. You can see here also, as Vivek is asking, can we have more than one else if? So there is in this if condition, how many else ifs are there? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but at the last statement should be else statement. So this is how it should be done. So this is finding out the grade. We are reading the marks and then we are going to read the grade. So here, instead of having marks 1, marks 2, marks 4, marks 5 separately, you can also use map and split. You can also use map and split. That is also possible, right? So I'm not going to show this much about it. Now we'll move to the loops. When I want to print numbers like this, how to do it? So now we are moving to the loops. So just give me a moment. I'll open the loops. So Python supports while loop, for loop directly. If we want to implement do while loop in Python, we need to go for some exercise, some kind of what you say embedding activity and all. So that's why most of the times in Python we won't end with the, we won't go with the do while. We'll go with for loop, while loop. So now we are going to see the looping. Before that, we have one question. We will take it. It can't end with if, sir. No, you cannot end any statement with the if. The final statement should be else. If not, you can have separately only one if condition. That is always there. As I shown you in the voting program, only one if condition, yes, you can have. But when you are using else if, you should go with the else statement. Now we'll go to the looping. So the first program, write a Python program to get the Fibonacci series. So how many of you know Fibonacci series? What is Fibonacci series? This is called Fibonacci series, right? So what is Fibonacci? First we'll take two numbers, 0 and 1. When you add these two, you should get the third number. When you add these two, you should get the next number. 2 plus 3, 5. You can see here 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 5, 8. Like that, it will add previous two numbers and it will give the output. That is called Fibonacci series, right? Suppose if I give range as 8, it will print 8 numbers. If you give 10, it will print, I'm so sorry, it will give 10 numbers. Now, so this is a program. First, we are going to read the input from the user up to what range you want to print. Then we are taking one variable called I equals to 0. Then first value is 0, second value is 1. In any Fibonacci series, you should give first two inputs. Then only you can go for the remaining output, right? First value is 0, second value is 1. Now, first we will see how to write the while. So while I less than number, that means what is number here? The range. Suppose if you have given range as 10, the initial value is 0 until I value becomes 10. What it is going to do? So what it is going to do? Sorry. What it is going to do? It is going to start with the if condition. If I less than equals to 1, if I is less than or equals to 1, that means I is 0, right? So the next value will be I. So we are going to take the I value into next, right? Then else next equals to first value plus second value. First value is equals to second value equals to next. It is like swapping of two numbers using third variable. Then print the next, increment the I value. So don't worry about the logic. I'll just repeat once again, you can understand. First thing is how to use the while condition. So while writing the while condition, you should have the parenthesis. You need to write the condition and the while should end with the colon. While should end with the colon. There is no other alternative. The while should end with the colon. Then within that we are writing the if condition. Why we are writing? If the I value is less than or equals to 1. So I is less than or equals to 1 now. I'm going to store that I value in a variable called next. Why we are storing? Because if I add 0 plus 1, next I want second value. That is second value should be I value, right? So that's why I'm storing here. Then I'm using else condition. Within that I'm adding the values, then going for the next. I'm printing the next value. I'm printing the next value, incrementing the I, right? So I'll just copy this program once again. I'll explain you there so that you can understand. I'll just copy this. Yeah. Go here. Fine. So now what I've done, so we have taken this. First we'll execute it and see, then we'll come back to the explanation. So I'm just running the program. We need to give the range. I'll give 5. You can see the 5 numbers has been created. Now you just observe this output and this one, you can easily understand the logic. So initially I value is 0, 0 less than n number value is 5, 0 less than 5, condition true. It will come here in if condition. If I less than or equals to 1, so 0 is less than or equals to 1. Now the next value is 0. Next value is 0. Then it will go down. It will go down here. It will print the next value, that is 0. Then I will be incremented to 1. So again it will come back to if condition. If condition 1, I value is 1 now. 1 is less than or equals to 1, right? Yes. So next value equals to I. Again it will print the next value 1. So again it will come back here. I will be incremented. So now I value is 2. 2 less than or equals to 1. Condition fails. It will go here. Then it will add the first value and second value. What is the first value? 0. Second value is 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Now the next value is 1. First value becomes second value. So it will read that. Then it will go for the second value equals to next, and then it will print. So like this, it is going to see. Sir, can we use flower braces for loops like we use in C? No. Only parenthesis. How controller know that end of the while loop if there are several while loops? Yes, obviously. See, when there are multiple loops, multiple conditions. Okay, I forgot to tell you. See, when there are multiple loops or multiple conditions, you can see this example only. Within one loop, there is a condition. Within one loop, there is a condition. First it will execute entire this block, then it will print the output. Again it will start execution from here. So the repetition will be there. The repetition will take place every time. Suppose if there are two while loops, the program will execute for inner while loop until it fails in the condition. Until it fails in the condition, it will execute. Then it will go to the main while loop. So when there are multiple while loops, multiple conditions, so it will execute internal loop first, then it will go to the external loop. So until that time, it won't go to the final loop or external loops. Hope I answered your question. So this is how the Fibonacci series will work. So any other question? See, syntaxes we cannot change. Syntax we need to use as it is. Any other question in this? How to use while loop, Fibonacci series? Fine. So this is how the while loop will be used. Then we are going for the next program. So write a Python program to create a multiplication table from 1 to 10 for a given number. So first we are going to input a number. Then we are going to take the for loop. How to write for loop? This is the for loop syntax. For I in the range. We need to give the range here. If you want to give increment or decrement, you should give in the program. You cannot give it here. For I in the range 1, 11, then you can use it. But 3.7 onwards or 3.8 onwards, for loop also can be written like your C program. But still the testing is going on. That's why we are not using that. So we are using for I in the range. This program I'll execute. Then you can easily understand. See, once the session is completed, I'm going to share all these things. I request all the participants, please practice this program spending 1 or 2 hours today, so that the tomorrow session will become much more easier. If you have any questions, you can ask. So I'm executing this. I'm asking for 3 table. So yeah, what happened? Okay. So here I have given capital I, there I have given small I. Yeah. So I'll just execute it. And my suggestion to all the participants, all the students, including your friends, you tell them, when you want to learn some new language, learn with the joy. Enjoy the language and then learn. Don't feel that it is a burden, right? Yeah. So I entered 3. It printed with 3 table. 3 ones are 3, 3 twos are 6. Right. Now we'll go to the logic. What we did for I in the range 1, 11. 1, 11. As all of you know, when we give the range, it will take n minus 1 values. So when I say 11, it will take up to 10. If you want up to 11, you need to give 12. And print statement, n is the variable which I want to print. So this is a symbol, x symbol we are using. So that's why I put in a single quote. Then I value, then equals to is a symbol, n into I. So this is how for loop will be written. This is how for loop will be written. The takeaway from this program is for can be written as for I in the range followed by the colon. So this is how for loop will be written. I'm just going to next program to make you much more easier understanding of for loop. So the next program is, this is a program, write a Python program to print the following pattern. Probably the students who recently completed your first year, or the 6th sem students, 5th sem students, I mean 4th sem students, 2nd sem students, those who did C programming, you might have struggled a lot to print this. But you can see here how simple it is. So now what I'm doing, I'm taking the n value for I in the range. For I in range 0, 5. For j in range 0, I plus 1. So someone asked me just now, Vinay V. Gowda sir or some student here, so how to use multiple statements if they are there, how to do it. Now this is the example. I have 2 for loops here. Now what will happen? So n value is 1. So up to 0, 5 it will print. So j in 0 and I plus 1. So I plus 1 is nothing but, now initially I value is 0 here. Now it will become 0, 1. Then it will print the n value. So n value is 1. At the end, it is going to print some space, and n value will be incremented, n equals to 2. Then I am printing some empty space. Why I am taking print statement here? To go to the next line. To go to the next line, because initially n value is 1. Then I want space. Then it should go to the next line. That's why I am taking one print statement. Then, so it will continue with the loop. Now the n value is 2. So for I in the range 0, 5, now I value is 1. So 0, 2. So now it is going to be 2. So again, it will become 3. Again, it will come here. It will check the statement. Again, it will continue. Sorry. So any question, please type in the chat box. Please type in the chat box. So it will continue looping unless we get the output. So the n is going to be printed. So it will check for the condition. Then it is going to print the output like this. Right? So the takeaway from this program you should understand is how to use for loop, how to use multiple for loops. When we use multiple loops, first the internal loop condition will be executed, then it will go to the external loop. Right? So this is how it will be done. One more for condition is there. I'll show you that also, then you can understand much more easily. So I want to print this. As someone asked, type conversion, how to do it? We'll see now. See, I cannot print A, B, C directly by reading from the variable. What I need to do, I need to take the ASCII values. So the starting ASCII value for capital A is 65. So same program I have taken. Now I have taken the type conversion here. What is type conversion? I want to convert this value into character. So that's why CHR of value, I'm assigning that one to CH. I'm assigning that one to the CH. This is called type conversion. And while doing the type conversion, you should remember one point. You can go from higher data type to lower data type, but you cannot come from lower data type to higher data type. That means you can convert float into int. Int to float, it's very difficult to convert. We can convert, but there is a fuse procedure. Here, initially I have taken value equals to 65. Then CHR is the keyword which we are using to convert this value into character. CHR is nothing but character. We are converting value into character and we are storing in CH. And we are printing that character like this. So we have one question, we'll take it. Why won't second for loop proceed to next statement after printf? Yes, sir. Second for loop will proceed to the print. Why won't second for loop proceed to the next statement after printf? Obviously, sir. So when it comes here, it will go back and it will check the condition and it will execute. Once the condition fails only, it will go to the main loop. Once it conditions fails, then only it will go to the next loop. See, to avoid the confusion for this, I'll suggest one exercise. Please do it today. Then when you come back, you ask me if there is any question. Take one C program. Take one C program which is having multiple loops. Either in code blocks or TC, you do what you call that tracing F7. When you trace it, you can understand how the looping is happening. Then you can easily understand. If time permits, tomorrow I'll show you, sir, how the multiple loops will execute internally. That I'll explain you. Right? So end is a keyword. At the end we want space. So that's why I'm using the end. So here I want some space. I'm assigning end value to the empty space. I'm assigning end value to the empty space. See, multiple loops. Some students will be having doubt because if you are from basic programming background, you might have understood. So others, I'll show you tomorrow how it will be done. Don't worry. That is my duty. I'll remember it. I'll show you tomorrow. So end is the keyword which we use when you want to give some space, when you want to add some dollar, when you want to add some ampersand symbol, when comma or some value you want to add, you can add it anywhere. End is another keyword which we use in the Python programming, right? And next one is a date and time. See, there are some keywords which we can use to print the date and time, right? So to print the date and time in Python, we need to import a package called import date time. Then you can use the different functionalities. I'm not going to execute this. You practice it, then come back. So there are different functionalities which we can use. Printing today's date, tomorrow date, yesterday date, right? And different formats of dates, right? So this is the different formats of dates which we are going to print. This you practice it. These are the common keywords which we are going to use. That means syntax is not going to change. You need to import the package, import time, import date time, then you need to do it. So shall we stop here because it's almost 6:40. So tomorrow we will continue with the second session because I know it's heavy burden for other students apart from CSIS because they'll be little familiar with this. Others they need to digest. After this session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the links. I'm going to share the links. You practice the programs today. See, it is not important. Someone is asking what is the use of important. It is import. Import is mainly used to import packages. Import is mainly used to import the packages. Time is a package. Date time is a package. So what is package? Package is nothing but predefined functionalities will be there. Like in your C program, you said like main.h, conio.h, right? stdio.h. So those things you need to import. There is one more question. Instead of laptop, can we practice in phone? Yes, for sure you can practice these programs in phone. In our WhatsApp group, I'm going to send you the application, which will be a beautifully designed Android application where you can practice all these programs. Right? So thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support in asking the questions. Right? So can you show the previous program once? Which program, Mastan? Which program? Whether date and time or printing the series? Still, I'm going to share this PPT. You can have a glance look at it. So thanks for your time. Go through the programs. Any questions? Tomorrow also I'm going to meet at 5 o'clock. You can ask. Right? So thank you once again. I'm just going to end the session. The recording will be shared with you. So you can have the recording for your future reference. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.